Hi there, Sean Kevelighan here for another Executive Exchange. I have the good fortune today to be with Alan Ogilvie. He's president of Church Mutual Insurance Company. Alan, welcome.
It's great to be with you.
Listen, Alan, what I'd like to talk about is the future. We're always in the insurance industry trying to figure out what future trends are happening, and I'd be interested in the perspective you're taking at Church Mutual about future trends, and talk a little bit even about the bigger challenges that you're facing now and you see happening in the years ahead.
Sure, happy to. I think Church Mutual faces many of the same challenges that anyone in the industry does. Certainly with what's happening with weather patterns, property catastrophe management is becoming a bigger issue. Certainly, we're experiencing that as our, virtually every carrier. And then there's the domino effect of how that's playing through the reinsurance markets. Obviously, reinsurance is a critical component of any company's operations. And certainly what's happening on the cat side in the reinsurance marketplace is having a meaningful impact. So we certainly are looking to deal with that in a variety of ways through technology, refined underwriting, pricing, terms, conditions, a lot of things to try and deal with that issue. Certainly we also, social inflation, you can't wake up without hearing about that. We as an industry obviously we're not very good in how to price things that are unpredictable. And social inflation, I think, is a perfect example of that.
Yeah.
It's also one of those things where often people think of it as harmful to an insurer, which certainly it can be. But at the same time, that ultimately works its way through the rate making and pricing process and ultimately affects insureds and consumers in general. So certainly social inflation is an area we pay attention to. But the one theme that we see over and over and over, and we don't think it will change, is it's the war for talent. And for us, at the end of the day, the old adage is very true. All our assets walk in every day, and at the end of the day, they leave, and you just hope and pray they come back. So really, talent acquisition and retention, we really have as our number one challenge that we look to address. And certainly we do a variety of things like anyone does around making sure we have competitive structures, et cetera. But what we like to think is we can bring something a little unique to our employees, which is a sense of mission. When you look at Church Mutual, a 126-year-old mutual company, the largest writer of religious institutions in the United States of virtually every flavor. And if you look at the complementary areas we've gone into and are growing in with nonprofits, senior living, schools, camps and recreation, those are all things that I think our employees really feel very good about working with those groups and providing insurance and loss protection services to those groups. It's pretty easy to get up in the morning when you're working to protect those organizations that are doing tremendous things in our communities.
Yeah, I will say, and I've been in the industry just since 2008, but there is certainly a noble cause that we try and inform at III as well about working in this industry. And I also really appreciate that we have insurers like Church Mutual that are able to really understand risk for a certain sector and be effective in that. That is something that's very unique, I think, about insurance and how it can really hone in and serve that noble cause, but for certain and different communities. That brings me to the next part of it, which is on the more positive side about the opportunities. What do you see as opportunities in the future?
Well, while you often can be, dragged down every day into the mud of all the challenges that the industry faces, I think the industry's at an incredibly fascinating and exciting juncture. I think justifiably so, the insurance industry has normally been known as a bit stodgy and a bit slow to evolve, but I think that's changing. I think some of the things that Church Mutual and others in the industry are doing in technology, certainly we and others are focused on what AI can do for our operations. I think it genuinely is a very exciting time. Challenging, yes, but at the same time, I'm a firm believer that industries that are facing challenge also creates opportunity. Right. I get asked a lot to speak to groups of younger people who are trying to decide what they want to do with their careers, and it's they often don't have a real sense of what the insurance industry is about.
Yeah.
They think of it again as a very old, stodgy, boring industry. And I think I'm able to walk them through and help them understand why that is not remotely the case. It's a very dynamic industry, worldwide, in a moment of immense transition. And when you're dealing with these challenges, whether they be cat management or otherwise, that creates opportunity for the next generation. I also remind a lot of the people thinking about this industry that they have a huge tailwind on their side, which is there's a huge graying, if you will, of the insurance industry. There's going to be an incredible amount of turnover in the next decade
Yeah.
in the insurance industry, which creates incredible opportunity for younger people who are kind of looking at, is the insurance industry for them?
Yeah, absolutely, and I see the opportunity that part of that noble cause. One of the bigger issues that we know about and we're helping to manage that risk is around climate risk, which is on a lot of the younger generation's mind for good reason. So certainly some good opportunities that we're also at Triple I trying to inform. Alan, this is the part where you get to ask me a question. So what do you got?
Well, obviously your group is just incredibly respected and well known in the insurance industry, and I've listed off a number of things that kind of keep me up at night and where I think things are going. But at the same time, you have a unique lens across our industry. You talk to so many different people: large carriers, small carriers, international, domestic, admitted, not admitted. I'll ask you the same question basically. What do you see as the challenges in the future for the insurance industry?
Well, getting it back to Triple I's mission, our mission is to be a trusted source of information and inform people about insurance and risk management. And I think you would agree, based on the challenges we discussed, the world is getting riskier. And what we try and do at Triple I is inform insurance's role, but also inform kind of what the overall cause is for climate risk, for example, where we're seeing, people are getting frustrated that as they're living more and more in harm's way, their insurance is what they would consider less affordable in their minds. But helping them understand that climate risk is also a community and collective responsibility issue, and helping people understand how communities need to become more resilient and build resilience into it. So even as insurance as an industry, you were talking about technology and other things. We're shifting from detecting and repairing after catastrophes to trying to predict and prevent. And I think the resilience area is a big part of that, where we're helping communities, help them understand the behaviors that they need to change about building and purchasing property, and how much insurance, all of those things they need to better understand so that they can have that ideal risk transfer tool that makes the likes of the U.S. economy so successful. But then again, you've also got to inform people about individual characteristics in states. You mentioned social inflation. Legal system abuse is what we kind of call it at Triple I, and it's just been rampant in the likes of the state of Florida. We just saw after they passed long-needed reform in the state, in 72 hours from when the reform was passed to then when the law actually was signed by the governor, we had 280,000 litigation suits filed in the state, and they were 100,000 on average in the state years before. So helping Floridians understand that their individual characteristics are shifting to California and their individual characteristics in that state about restrictions that they apply on underwriting. We can't, in California, you're not allowed to underwrite using forward-looking modeling. So, you can't use that technology you talked about as much in California. You can't factor in reinsurance, which and had talked about is a bit of a challenge at this point. And we can't price risk in that state according to the likes of the inflation. We've seen inflation over the last 3 years just around construction materials and homeowner replacement costs. If you have a cumulative compounding of that inflation rate, it's 55%. That's the new normal on pricing. So we see at Triple I there's a lot of risk happening, and I think you mentioned there's a lot of good opportunity, and there's a lot of good opportunity for people to come in and help communities manage this risk better. And so we're hopefully painting a more objective tone to the industry, but people are getting more interested in it too. In the last year we've had about 5 million people visit the site. We've now got over 40,000 people following us on social media. The media are coming to us more and more as they're reporting on this risk. I think in this last 6 months or so, we had about 8,000 media citations. So a lot going on, but I think, insurance plays a central role in it. And in Triple I, we want to make sure they understand the value of that role. So that's what's been keeping us busy. But Alan, I appreciate your perspective. I always enjoy being able to sit with people there at the corner office and talk about what's on their mind. And I'm sure the viewers here will appreciate it well. So I want to thank you for your time and hope to see you again soon.
Appreciate the opportunity and all the great work your organization does.